G'day, you beautiful lot. Welcome back to PommyInOz. If you are new around here, hit that like button and subscribe. It does really help the channel out. Can't thank you enough for the support you've shown me recently. Let's get into it. Grab your cup of teas because the Tigers, they've absolutely rattled the AFL world. Gold Coast, they were unbeaten. They were flying high. They were brought back down to earth with a crash this Easter weekend by a side who was not meant to win a game. Plenty of spice in this one. There was some good comebacks, some big moments. Old heroes stood tall and young players rose. And Dimmer still hates the marvel. Let's run that intro and get into this game's quick kicks. Well, Richmond didn't just flip the script. They came into round 6 and the Tigers were given zero chance. Young list rebuilding against the undefeated resurgent Sun side, coached by their old coach, Hardwick. But what unfolded at Marvey was an inspired, gritty showcase performance that really did show the DNA of a Dimmer's Richmond in 2025. From the opening bounce, Richmond showed some great intent. They smashed it in and around the contest. They brought some physicality and forced the Suns into a lot of mistakes. Jonty Fall, he got his first ever goal and looked absolutely fantastic. And it was McAndrew's brain fade that gave them a double goal, which really did set the tone. Even when the Suns did get forward in the first half, they were dominant as well at times, 31-18 in that second. It was really Richmond's solid defence. Vlastuin, Balta, they turned the game away. They said no, and they really looked very strong and resilient in that defensive half. At halftime, the Tigers led by 14, and belief did start to bubble. And like often in the AFL, when you're a bottom side and you're in the game for longer, the belief starts to happen. Maurice Rioli in the third quarter, absolutely brilliant. He shoved Sam Collins, nailed the goal. Richmond piled on the goals. 6 goals, 1 versus 1 goal, 2. The margin blew out to 43 points. And the Tigers were running rampant. Balta was just clunking everything. Vlastuin read the play like it was a pop-up book. And Tim Taranto, he was in really good form. The Suns had a bit of a tail wag late. 5 unanswered goals, made it a bit nervy. But Richmond's veterans stood tall, soaked up the pressure and secured a nice, easy 11-point win. Richmond 12-80, defeating Gold Coast 9-15-69. A huge win. And one that might not be expected, but really goes a long way for Richmond to believe in what they're doing. How did Richmond get this done? Right now, there's some real credit lies in what they did tactically. Let's look at their defence. Vlastuin, 15 intercepts, Balta 10, completely shutting down any tall forward ball for Ben King. It was a real solid display here. Ben King, he was held to just 4 touches and 1 goal. He wasn't sighted. Balta's aerial presence allowed Vlastuin to peel off and create chaos behind the ball. And the Tigers forced Gold Coast wide. Only 24% of Suns inside 50s came from the corridor area. In the midfield, despite losing the hitouts 33-42, mainly to Jared Witts, Richmond won them centre clearances when it mattered, winning 10-8. And around stoppages, they did slightly lose them clearance counts in total. But they really did structure it well to really force Gold Coast to go long. No short options. Taranto had 35, Hopper had 27. Absolute workhorses. Even if Taranto sometimes cops a little abuse, even from me, about not impacting a game, I felt like he really did get into the moments when he needed. He was a real metronome for them. Richmond's mids didn't just try to match Gold Coast clean spread. They absolutely scrapped, pressured and milked the ground for every possession, which was really good. No freedom for Gold Coast to play. Richmond, they made their inside 50s counts, nearly scoring 1 in 2 at 47%. Gold Coast, they were wasteful and they really did. It killed them. 36% of their inside 50s resulted in a shot goal, showcased by them being negative 11.4 in expected scores. So very low percentile areas and a lot of pressure. Versus Richmond, who were plus 15.2. They really did take their chances. And Suns midfield trio, Rao 29, Tuck Miller 33 and Anderson 32. That's 94. Big numbers, but no real damage. Only 20%, less than 20% of their touches resulted in something being produced inside 50. The late move as well of slowing the game down and not playing on as much resulted in a masterstroke by Uze. They were playing on quite a bit from marks in the opening first 3 quarters. In the fourth, they slowed it down. They brought it back under their terms and really showed some mature control. Injected fresh defensive legs when the sun surged late, allowing Richmond to really survive the storm. Azam Uze had a really good game here. Let's look at some of the players that stood out. Vlastuin, 27 touches, 15 intercepts. Monster down halfback. Noah Balta, 14 touches, 4 contested, 10 intercepts. Bullied King and patrolled the skies. Tim Taranto, 35 touches, 6 clearances. Busy all night. Maybe a bit inefficient at times, but was there when needed. And Maurice Rioli Jr., 1 goal, 7 tackles. The pressure really set the tone. This was my favourite game of Maurice Rioli Jr. I really enjoyed what I saw. Gold Coast, Matt Rao, 29 touches, 7 clearances. He battled hard. Tuke Miller, 33, faded when it mattered the most, but he did look dangerous early on. And Ben Long, hard-working, 3 goals, kept presenting even when the Suns were flat. What went right and what went wrong for both sides? Richmond defensive wall with Balta is huge. Vlastuin just stood tall and was allowed to peel off. They win the clearances when it matters, and this is a thing with Richmond. They've never been a great clearance side. Even in 2017, it was always an area that you looked at. They step up when it mattered, and that was a real big sign. The tactical flexibility in the late game coaching as well, I really enjoyed. But they definitely have a second gear already, which is probably the thing we complain about on some of the top teams. And leaders standing up. Leaders standing up. This is something that we keep saying about Richmond. The older guys have to stand up. They did. What went wrong? Taranto's ball use under pressure is going to get them under a little bit of trouble at times. He needs to be cleaner. And the scoring drought in the fourth quarter, it's okay containing it, but you've still got to create them opportunities. But I'll give you Uze a pass because it was nice to see a team in a rebuild actually go through the different gears. Gold Coast, the late game surge, they overran them. That was a positive, and Rao and Long were really strong. What went wrong, though, was the diabolical goal kicking. 9 goals from 15. 9 goals, 15. Over-reliance on contested footy. There was no plan B until the fourth quarter when they had to cut the shackles. This is a real big thing for Gold Coast, that sometimes you ain't going to get the game on your terms. You've got to force it, and I felt like they were very placid in this. Defensive meltdown allowed Tigers to run riot in the third. There was a complete capitulation in that system. And King, you've got to find other avenues to go. It's easy if you know who to stop. Are Richmond, in the talking points, are Richmond way ahead of where we fought in the rebuild? Second win against 2 sides that we expected to be in the top 8. Did Gold Coast get exposed tactically? Is this contested brand, have they got the skills to pull the game open when teams allow them to become a contested beast? How much of an influence does Marvel Stadium's Dimmercurse comments have on this? And can the Suns regroup quickly? Or is this the first crack in their hopes? That's your Quick Kicks review. The Tigers, they're roaring again. Gold Coast back to the drawing board. If you enjoyed the breakdown, smash that like button, subscribe, do all that wonderful stuff. I will ask you one question. Are the Richmond the real deal now? Or did they just catch the Suns napping? I've been PommyInOz. You've been fantastic. Until next time, take care. You're all legends in my book. Pom out.